Welcome to Forum 360, a program with a global outlook and a local view. I'm Ardith Keck, host today. Our program deals with the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. We are so fortunate to have a national park at our door and all of its advantages. Deb Yandala, who is the CEO of the Conservancy for the National Park, is here to help us understand the relationship of the Conservancy to the National Park. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm wanting to know more about the Conservancy. What is it?
The Conservancy is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to support the National Park in everything it does and to connect the community and help enhance the community and the lives of the people who enjoy our National Park.
How great to have it. Are you staff of the National Park?
No, we don't get to wear the fun ranger hats. We all work on the nonprofit side, and we're viewed as very close partners to the National Park Service, but we work for the National Park, for the Conservancy, the nonprofit itself.
Okay. Are you an unusual organization, or does every national park have one?
Well, most of the national parks have organizations like ours. We are embedded in our communities in many cases. Some cases they have, the groups have national followings. For example, the Yellowstone Forever is the Friends Group for Yellowstone, and they have members from across the country. That would be true of the Yosemite Conservancy. But some of us who are with parks that are a little more localized, we represent the community voice to the national park. And there are about 140 organizations like ours across the country.
And I understand you're National Park Friends Alliance president?
Yes, that's true. I have been for the last few years, and we meet twice a year, join together as executive directors of National Park Friends groups, and work with the National Park Service to impact policy related to philanthropy, and also work very closely with the National Park Foundation, which is the national fundraising arm connected to the National Park Service.
Are you going to continue in that position?
Oh, I think probably another year or so, and then I will move aside so somebody new from a different park can do the work. But I've really enjoyed it, and I teasingly tell my colleagues, I like that they all know how to pronounce and spell Cuyahoga now. And it does help enhance the national reputation of Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
And are we the biggest conservancy?
We're one of the largest. I know that's surprising to some. We don't raise quite as much money as parks that are better known like Yellowstone or Yosemite, but in terms of number of staff and our footprint in the national park itself, we're generally viewed as one of the top 5 or 6 friends groups of the national parks.
And for our audience's sake, they should know that you pretty much created the Conservancy.
Well, I stand on the shoulder of giants. There was a small friends group, the Cuyahoga Valley Association, that actually predates the national park. It was a group of citizens who worked so hard to preserve and protect the Cuyahoga Valley, and then when the national park was formed in 1974, they became the Friends Group for the National Park, and they did many, many wonderful things. I come from work with the Environmental Education Center, and we merged with the Friends Group in 2002 and have had a lot of growth and expansion since then.
Certainly has. Are national parks well funded?
Well, probably depends on who you ask, but I think most of us in this work believe that we have a long ways to go in terms of funding our national parks. Most of our national parks have a lot of maintenance projects that are behind. We call that deferred maintenance, and there is a big need to address that backlog. And Senator Portman co-sponsored a bill just last week to help address some of that backlog if it is able to pass in Congress. But we also think the operating budgets of our national parks are just simply too small for the assets of our National Park Service.
Mm-hmm. I'm certainly among those because I love national parks. Do you have to pay to get into this park?
No, this is a no-fee park that was written into its legislation, so we will never charge fees. I think those of you who know the park will know that it would be near impossible to have a single gate or even just a few gates. People enter the park in all kinds of ways, all kinds of places. So it would be impossible, but that's also part of this park, is that the park at its intention was part of the Parks to the People movement, intended to be a free resource to people visiting.
And for those people who maybe the one or two out there who don't know where the Cuyahoga Valley National Park is. Can you tell us?
Yes, we're kind of an unusual park in that many people think of parks with square boundaries or set boundaries, if you will. Our park is 33,000 acres that runs on the north from Independence down to the city of Akron on the south. And the Cuyahoga River is like a spine running right through the national park. The park itself goes east and west, kind of around the Cuyahoga River. Of that 33,000 acres, only about 20,000 are actually owned by the federal government. This is typical of newer national parks that were put in place in recent years. And our park contains other lands that are still what we consider compatible to the park, such as golf courses, ski areas, Hale Farm and Village, Blossom Music Center, all owned by separate organizations, but we feel are enhanced what the national park is about.
And how does it help our area?
Well, the national park is a big economic driver to the area. We are especially seeing growth in tourism. One of my fun little, if you will, nerd-like hobbies is to walk through our national park parking lots and look at the license plates of cars in our parking lot. On any given day in the summer, you'll find a quarter to a third of those license plates are from out of state. We are increasingly driving tourism dollars to northeastern Ohio, jobs tied with the national park and its affiliates. So us as a partner, for example, plus the Scenic Railroad, the Countryside Conservancy, which has the farms in the national park. There are lots of jobs connected with the national park. So really millions of dollars in economic development tied to having a national park in our backyard.
Cool. Are there other national parks in Ohio?
So there are 8 national park sites in Ohio. So there's over 400 sites, national park sites across the country, and 8 of them here in this state. Of those 400 national parks, 400 plus national park sites, they're called different things. There's 26 different names for national park sites, historic sites, presidential homes, seashores, that kind of thing. Here in Ohio, we're the only one that's one of the 59 national parks. The other 7 sites are historic sites, predominantly presidential homes. Here in northeastern Ohio, the James A. Garfield National Historic Site up in Mentor. First Ladies in Canton is a wonderful site to visit. And then out in Put in Bay, there's another national park site there.
But we're the only national park.
We're the only national park in Ohio, yes.
Okay. We are going to have a lot to talk about. There may be people who want to know more, and I'm sure there will be. Can you tell us their website?
Yes, for the Park Service, the website is nps.gov and then a slash and CUVA for the first 2 letters of Cuyahoga and the first 2 letters of Valley. That's how national parks distinguish their sites. So
and the Conservancy.
And the Conservancy is just put for CVNP in for Cuyahoga Valley National Park, for FOR CVNP into your search site, and you'll find us easily.
.org.
Yes.
Okay. Is there camping in the national park?
We have a small campground behind the Stanford House. It has about a half a dozen sites, and it can be reserved you can contact us for information. It can be reserved through the National Park Service camping information.
Okay.
And you'll find information on both the park and our website about that.
There's not a lot.
There's not a lot, and many people wish there was more. We're in a kind of an odd-shaped park for putting in a large campground because we wouldn't want to put a large campground near where people live or where other things are happening in the park. So that has been something that's been requested, but most likely our park will stay with doing smaller camping sites that are a little bit isolated to give people a true camping experience.
But it's a wonderful place for bicycling.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
The towpath trail. And, well, is the hike and bike trail actually in the park?
A part of it runs right through the national park. It's managed by Metro Parks, Summit Metro Parks, but part of it does run through the national park.
And then there's a bicycle trail now for people who like to go up and down.
Yeah, mountain bikes. Yeah.
Mountain bikes.
Yes. Yeah, so part of our growth in national visitation has been because we're an outstanding park for biking. Biking on the towpath is wonderful for those of us who like flatter surfaces and for young families in particular. The Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad has that wonderful program called Bike Aboard, where you can bike one way and put your bike on the train to get back to your car, or take the train and then you're stuck biking back to your car. Either way you do it,
That's so great.
It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then in the last few years, the park has opened mountain biking trails, and that's thanks to community support. Without the Knight Foundation and a few other funders and the work of the local mountain bike community, that would not have happened. We're one of the few national parks with a mountain biking trail, so we're again getting people from around the country coming to mountain bike in Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And people regionally tell us this is the best mountain biking trail around. So I am not a mountain biker. I'm sorry that I can't give you a personal commentary, but those that mountain bike say that the topography of it is just really fabulous.
And there's lots of hiking.
Lots of hiking, over 100 miles of hiking trails. Some are very easy to access and very more flat and easy for people that might have some accessibility issues, or again, families with young children. And then the Buckeye Trail has a lot going for it, is really a wonderful trail for those who like more advanced hiking. And that's one of the comments we hear from visitors from out of state, is they're overwhelmed with the quality of hiking in our national park.
Very good. What is the Cuyahoga Valley Environmental Education Center?
Oh, Ardith, you're asking about one of my favorite places. Cuyahoga Valley Environmental Education Center opened 24 years ago. It's a residential center with dormitories. We can house up to 128 children and their chaperones. And it operates year-round. During the school year, it is 4 school groups that come out for overnight stays with a curriculum that's designed to match their school curriculum and give children school-based learning in a field setting in the outdoors. And in the summer is host to a variety of camps.
And some of the kids who come have never ever been in the woods before.
That's true for a lot of children who come. So one of the things I'm most proud about with our board of directors is from day one, 24 years ago, they mandated that at least 25% of the children we serve would come from low-income situations where they may not be able to afford other camp experiences. So we work a lot with the Akron Public Schools and with the Cleveland Municipal School District, some of the inner suburban schools. And for those children, for many of them, this is the only national park they will experience, and oftentimes the only outdoor experience, camping experience they might have. And some of the children, when we talk about going on a hike, they don't know what it means to go on a hike. They've never hiked before, and they're 10, 11, 12 years old. And then to watch their faces when they discover frogs in the pond or see a deer in the woods. Some of us might get tired of that, but they are just enchanted by it.
We're talking today with Deb Yandala, who is the CEO of the Conservancy for the National Park, Cuyahoga Valley National Park, I should say. And the Conservancy is just an aid or an assistant to the National Park. You have cultural events in the National Park.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And is this Valley Guide something that's new?
Yes, this is new this year. This replaces the old schedule of events that the Park Service put out. The Valley Guide will come out seasonally and lists all the variety of programs. It's a great visitor guide similar to what many other national parks have, with visitor guides listing activities and trails and the best places to go in the national park.
And I see a map on the back.
And there is a map on the back, which is very helpful, again, for our unusually shaped national park.
Ah, very good, very good. So you have dancers, singers, visual arts, and all of those things that come to the park.
Yes, we believe that part of the story of the Cuyahoga Valley is integrated with the artistic story. Many national parks feel this, that one of the best ways to experience nature is to do it through the arts. And in our case, that means we do a variety of artistic programs. We have a summer concert series called Music in the Meadow that's free at Howe Meadow. We also do year-round a concert series with a whole variety of artists. So we have members of the Cleveland Orchestra play, we have blues bands, we've had a gospel group, certainly folk music and jazz. So a variety of ways to express connection with our history and with our natural resources.
It's a fun thing to do, and I'm sure a lot of people do it. Do you use volunteers?
Yes, we have also one of the largest volunteer programs in the country. I think that's a testimony to how much people love our national park. So yes, we have a variety of volunteer jobs people can choose from. Everything from one day coming and bringing your family and volunteering in the park, pulling weeds, which maybe doesn't sound fun, but is actually quite adventurous. We're trying to get rid of the invasive species. We have people who have a paws patrol. They come with their dogs and help patrol our trails, a bike patrol. We have people that work in the visitor centers, people that help park cars, people that help with special events, people that teach children at our environmental education centers. So yes, depending on one's interest, we'll find a way to match your interest with national park work.
And how do they sign up?
They sign up by contacting us through our website or through the park's website. Again, you'll find information on how to volunteer in Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
And you do have memberships in the Conservancy.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, we do. We really appreciate the community who supports us. Our memberships start at $45 a year, and it's a way to really vote with your dollars that you love Cuyahoga Valley National Park. We have over 4,000 members, and I want to say this to people who may be contemplating, well, why should I join? You certainly get benefits of getting information sent right to your email box about what's happening in Cuyahoga Valley National Park. But you also have that altruistic sense that you are part of the National Park Service and helping the national park you love. Part of the work I do is I work with our members of Congress to make sure that our national park is supported and cared for. Right now, when I walk in their office and say I have 4,000 members, they're impressed. I can't wait to the day when I can walk in and say we have 10,000 members. So people that care about Cuyahoga Valley National Park, that $45 contribution makes a big difference to us.
And it should matter to everyone in
Yes.
the area because we all use the national park. You have a program that I think is really cool, and Sponsor an Acre.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So this is another way, you know, part of our job as a Friends group at the National Park is to raise dollars to support the National Park. In addition to paying for bringing children to the Environmental Education Center, we have a fund that helps maintain the trails. We help with various projects, capital construction projects, other things in the National Park. So the Sponsor an Acre is another way to support us. For $75, you can choose an acre via our website and be that sponsor of that acre for the year. And we have found that people love to give acres in the national park for Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, holidays. It's just a very nice and kind of fun way to sponsor, help support our work in taking care of Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
We gave an acre to someone and they were thrilled.
Oh, great.
They were just really pleased.
Great.
Trail Mix. Tell us about Trail Mix.
Trail Mix, yes, it's food you eat, but more important for us, it's 2 stores that we have in the National Park. One is in Boston, across the street from the Visitor Center. And that's a fun little seasonal store. So if you're out biking or hiking and you want to stop and get something to drink or get wonderful Mitchell's ice cream, or maybe you want to pick up a t-shirt or a trinket to remember your visit, it's a great place to stop. There's places to park your bike, or you can walk up, or you can park across the street and enjoy the store. And then we have a second larger store in Trail Mix. It's located right behind the Winking Lizard restaurant. And that store is also right where you can get off the train, off and on the train.
That's in Peninsula.
And that's in Peninsula. And that's a little bit larger. It also has food. Both stores have packaged sandwiches too, so if you need a lunch, it's a great place to pick up a lunch and have a picnic. But more so at that store is also gifts and other things to remember your visit by, including a really wonderful display from local artists.
Okay. The Cuyahoga Valley National Park has waterfalls, and you can just go there and see the waterfalls. Do you have to hike to some of them?
Yes, you do. The easiest ones to see are Blue Hen Falls and Brandywine Falls, which is the one, actually we have overcrowding there because so many people want to see that falls. So I encourage local residents, if you want to see it, go on a quieter day. Don't choose a busy summer weekend. And then there's some other falls located back in the woods that you can hike to.
And you're trying to get more diversity in visitors.
Yes, one of the things we've realized in the National Park Service in general across the country, the average visitor to national parks are in their 60s or 70s, are white, more male than female. And here in Cuyahoga Valley National Park, our most recent visitor study in 2015 showed that our visitation matches the visitation of other national parks. And given the location of Cuyahoga Valley National Park, we find that unacceptable. And so we've been, since 2016, been doing further research and study as to why this is the case. And there are some issues related to transportation, related to marketing, other accessibility issues. So the Conservancy is now working on a very special initiative to try to change the visitation of Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and also to take the national park experience into the cities and have people have entry-level experiences with national park programming in Cleveland and in Akron, so that they feel comfortable when they come to Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
Good. There's a new visitor center that is now up on stilts.
Yes, it is.
I guess not stilts, but they've been raising it.
It's a little sturdier than stilts, which is a good thing for all the people working underneath it. Yes, when they began to work on the foundation, they realized that there was some extra work that needed to be done and some challenges with the bedrock. So by raising the building up, they could really get in and do that work and make sure that it's a good foundation. The building was built in the early 1900s, so this is a historic building that we're preserving and turning it into a main central visitor center for Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
And it will be near Peninsula.
It is actually near Boston. It'll be just north of Peninsula at the intersection of Riverview Road and Boston Mills Road. And it will be known as the Boston Mill Visitor Center.
And will you keep the other visitor centers that you have?
We will keep some contact programming up in the other locations, but the current visitor center will repurpose into another purpose, servicing the towpath trail.
Okay. Do you have watershed protection as far as Blossom Music Center and things like that?
Yes. Yeah, so preserving and stewarding the land and the natural resources of Cuyahoga Valley National Park is very important to us. So yes, we've worked collaboratively with Blossom, with the Cleveland Orchestra and Blossom Music Center, making sure that as they deal with issues of runoff, which we do throughout the valley, that we manage it in ways that are sensitive to the environment. And that's true up and down as we work with communities. Protecting the Cuyahoga River is the #1 goal of Cuyahoga Valley National Park right now. They're working really hard to make sure that water quality is improved, and runoff has a lot to do with that. And we're seeing an increased use of the river as a water trail. More and more people are wanting to kayak and canoe, mostly kayak on Cuyahoga Valley, in the Cuyahoga River and in the Cuyahoga Valley. And so making sure that we have good water quality is really important to humans as well as to the natural resources there.
Can you kayak in the Cuyahoga River?
Well, people are doing it. Right now there are not official put-ins by the National Park Service, but we are working to plan those, and you will see that coming in the next couple years.
And wildflowers. I know there must be wildflowers in the national park.
There are lots of wildflowers, especially in the spring. There are just really a tremendous assortment. We encourage people to get off onto the lesser used trails, and you will see wonderful wildflowers. The biggest challenge to our wildflowers is the deer, and in recent years, reducing the deer population has really brought the wildflowers back. There's a marked difference. If you haven't hiked in a while, get back into the park, especially in the spring, and you will see a big difference in the number of wildflowers.
Have the deer decreased?
Yes, the National Park Service has done some controlling of the deer herds, which were dangerously large and really creating a problem for the plants in the Cuyahoga Valley, as well as a problem for the deer themselves.
Okay. And are there bridle trails? Do you have horses?
There are bridle trails. That's another special thing in Cuyahoga Valley National Park. There are trails, they're well marked as bridle trails for people on horses.
and they're not generally in where people walk.
Correct.
They're separate.
That's correct, and people that ride horses really appreciate that.
Yes. Well, people who walk.
Yeah, yes,
appreciate
people
it
that
too.
walk as well, right, and ride bikes, right.
Indeed. We should repeat the website.
Yes, you are welcome to visit our website, FORCVNP for Cuyahoga Valley National Park.org, or the National Park Service website, nps.gov/CUVA.
And the telephone number for the Conservancy.
Yes, it's 330-657-2909.
And do you have farmers markets?
We do. We're one of the only national parks with a farmers market right in our boundaries on Howe Meadow on Saturday mornings. It's sponsored by our wonderful partner, the Countryside Conservancy.
There is lots to do in the national park. Where would the Cuyahoga Valley National Park be without the Conservancy? Thank you, Deb, for your service to all of us who use the national park.
Thank you. It's my privilege.
Thanks for joining us on Forum 360 today. And we have a global outlook with a local view.
Forum 360 is brought to you by Electrical Impulse Communications, the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, an anonymous donor, the Jewish Community Board of Akron, Medical Mutual of Ohio, Blue Green, and Forum 360 supporters.